You're welcome, Grand Rapids.
John Cena, what a guy. I heard he doesn't do wrestling anymore. That's
weird. Yeah. Good evening, Grand Rapids. Welcome to NewsFlash. I'm your anchor, Darius.
And I'm your other anchor, Brandon. And because we finally made it through another year, what was that? That was just January. There's 11 more months of 2026. Oh boy. Tonight we have the local, national, and world news you may have missed.
You're welcome, Grand Rapids, and this is NewsFlash. Our top story tonight, more Epstein files finally got released, and they're not great. Not that anybody was particularly psyched about reading this stuff. After a month of delays, Trump was quoted, like I told my friend Jeffrey, I got hung up.
I mean, like I told my old friend Harvey Weinstein, if I was, this is my Trump, by the way. If I was good with time, I wouldn't be at 3 a.m. posting AI pictures of me as a Bitcoin superhero.
But don't quote me on that. Quote me on this. Like I told my friend, Vladimir, I want Greenland. Because my best friend has his own island already.
Hold on. Do you ever think that the slow release of the Epstein files over several months is intentional and creates this psychological phenomenon where we subtly become used to these horrific crimes, whereas a collective we subconsciously view these individuals as recurring characters in this messed up TV series, despite how cruel these crimes actually are?
Yeah, I do. And that there's always a few wacky headlines that grab people's attention, but these files are still hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes worth of emails that detail a vast network of covert influence run by powerful pedophile elites that's probably still going on to this day.
Yeah, you know what we can do? We're just two news anchors.
Well, we always can make the people laugh.
I'm not sure. In improv, there's this thing called the impossible task, where you say something so serious and outlandish that there's this unspoken expectation that the next thing someone says has to be really funny. But it's so hard to do that, it's unfair to your stage partner.
Well, we could always get meta.
Oh, go meta, good idea. Speaking of which, TikTok users noticed that the word Epstein gets censored whenever mentioned in DMs by users in the US. Weirdly enough, it autocorrects to a giant black redaction square. Odd.
The rapper formerly tolerated as Kanye West took out a full-page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize for his past anti-Semitic remarks, claiming a brain injury sustained during a car accident over 20 years ago. When pressed for comments, the janitor at the Wall Street Journal said, "Sorry, I forgot to lock the doors last night." That's right, Ye is sort of taking responsibility for his controversial statements, but also blaming a car accident for being a bigot. Elon Musk was very quick to support him, saying, "Yeah, I volunteered as a Tesla dummy for a while, so that's definitely what happened with me, 100%.
In other music news, the Grammys were last night, and while Kendrick continued his victory lap on Drake by winning 5 awards, Bad Bunny also made history by being the first artist to win Album of the Year with an album completely in Spanish. I bet all those folks mad at the NFL are feeling pretty silly right about now. Some solemn truck apology videos are gonna start rolling in any minute.
In less exciting news, Trump and Nicki Minaj appeared together, all buddy to buddy, at the presidential summit, and soon they will also be meeting in the studio for the worst remix of Super Bass inimaginable.
Dave Matthews Band will launch its summer tour with a zero waste initiative, which just means they're not going to repeat the 2004 Chicago River incident, in which that was a full waste initiative. If you know, you know.
ICE agents will be in attendance at this year's Super Bowl. You'll know it's an ICE if they're wearing one of these. You know what to do, Seahawks.
One person that won't be at the Super Bowl is Trump because of Bad Bunny and Green Day performing, or so he claimed. And it's definitely not the fact that he wasn't invited, and if he did show up, he'd completely ruin the vibe.
ICE agents reportedly will also have a secret role at this year's Winter Olympics in Milan, Cortina, Italy. That's crazy. The only ice I want to see there is the ones those athletes slide on to either do a pirouette, punch a guy in the hockey, or do whatever the hell they're doing curling. Yeah, fuck ice. Just not that ice.
Scientists are warning of exploding trees caused by fluids inside trees reaching such frigid temperatures that they literally push out knots in the trees, leaving an empty hole where you can easily stick in the dynamite.
We have a sponsor for today's NewsFlash, so if you don't mind, Brandon and I are going to read about tonight's sponsor.
We don't know who sponsored us yet, so we'll just get through this so we can get back to the jokes, everybody. Today's NewsFlash is brought to you by, oh no, the Melania movie.
Have you ever wanted to watch a movie about which the nicest thing anyone has said is that it's a new movie? Then you should watch the Melania movie.
Directed by Brett Ratner, who you may know from such Google searches as Brett Ratner Controversy and Brett Ratner Allegations.
This film is being described as not only woke, only because no one has stayed awake for more than 7 minutes while watching the film.
I heard the editor had to download a lot of files in order to finish this film.
That's right. Let me just say, you're not going to believe how many PDF files are in this movie.
Filmmakers promise that no matter where you look, you will see a PDF file. Even some PDF files you never thought would be a PDF file, but it unfortunately makes sense that it's a PDF file.
So make sure you see the Melania movie, which is a very proud sponsor of NewsFlash and Comedy Outlet Monday. Very proud. Sean, we have to talk after the show.
They just gave us money.
Fair reason. Fair enough. Grand Rapids is running to keep the title as Beer City, USA. The city is running because it can't drive because of how many beers it's had.
And for now, what I truly hope is the first and last time, it's time for a new segment, The Phallus Report. Where we've been cornered by the comedy gods to share stories involving a certain part of the human anatomy.
We're talking about a penis. First off, 2 plastic surgeons in Paris have been arrested after one of their clients, a 65-year-old billionaire bodybuilder, suffered a heart attack after receiving injections in his penis as part of an enlargement procedure. And it was found that the doctors, both in their 70s, were operating without a valid license. All of that is the true part, and not, in fact, the setup to one of your dad's dirtiest jokes.
Yet another example of God telling us we shouldn't have billionaires, let alone bodybuilding billionaires. If you can't even find reputable licensed penis surgeons, what good is all that money? And also, what good is bodybuilding if you can't build the one part you apparently want the most?
Though it makes sense, the only people this man would trust were 2 dudes that were no less than 5, but no more than 15 years old. Don't trust anyone younger than you look. This is live comedy, folks. Don't trust anyone younger than you to look at your dawn. That's like old man honors code or something.
The investigation determined the man had been taking banned substances and chemicals to fight erectile dysfunction for years, which likely led to his cardiac arrest. Upon learning this, investigators were flooded with thousands of messages from men asking exactly what substances and chemicals, just, to make sure we avoid them. That's right, avoid them.
Because this took place in France, the case was handled by none other than Inspector Jacques Rousseau, a.k.a. the Pink Pecker. First responders said that the man called complaining of abdominal pains said the doctor, "Are you sure it's not the needle in your penis?"
The doctors were fined and suspended for 15 and 12 months, respectively, which is not that long, but in their defense, it's cold out.
Next up, we're not done with the penis jokes yet. Next up, a man in where else but Kissimmee, Florida, was arrested after engaging in what the police report called sexual performance with a vacuum cleaner. Not to state the obvious, but clearly the reason the man resorted to such a depraved act was that nobody was kissing him. Nobody was kissing him.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, and he didn't even use a bag because he said it felt weird.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, and who can blame him with all those handy attachments?
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum. What a little dirt devil.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, which sounds pretty Dyson-y, if you ask me.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, and he didn't even wrap the cord when he was done. He just hit the button and...
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum because he wasn't getting any hose. H-O-S-E.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, even though he made a clean getaway.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, which is really impressive because apparently it was a Roomba.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum instead of going to therapy.
A man was arrested for having sex with a vacuum, which really must suck. Thank you. Thank you.